Yes. Oh, man. That's a new kickoff. What you guys think? That's ridiculous. In the Paddock F1, Green the Cheese. Thank you for listening. Round 19. The 2025 F1 season takes us back to the States for the second of 3 stops. As we are back where everything is bigger. That's right, we're back in Texas. It's to Texas to be exact. It's the U.S. Grand Prix. Austin, known as the live music capital of the world, son. Get out there, listen to some tunes. I know if you were there, you'd be doing some line dance. I know that for sure, Michael. That's for damn sure. I know, I can see you out there. Little boogie scooting.
I do not. You don't not want me in your line dance for line dancing, because I will mess up the whole damn line dance. I've tried that before, and
So while you're there in Austin, you want to check out the University of Texas. Hook 'em horns, son. And of course, you're in Texas. Of course, when you're in Texas, you got to have some of that BBQ, son.
Hell
that
yes.
is some damn good eats. But this ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show. We are racing COTA. Circuit of the Americas, 3.42 miles, 20 corners, 2 DRS zones. You get the full beans for 58% of your lap. And when you're in the land of the Longhorn, do you really want to bet against the Bulls? What a weekend we got there in Texas. Max Verstappen domination. A little kerfuffle there in turn 1 of the sprint race. Took it to McLaren's, who, let's face it, boys and girls, did not have a really good weekend fully. But that was Saturday, and Sunday was the Max Verstappen show again, as he takes both poles for the sprint and the race. The sprint win and the race win. Only thing he didn't get was fastest lap.
Domination.
That is some domination. That is some domination.
Almost
Max takes the win.
crown.
Lando takes second. Leclerc rounds out the podium. We are caffeinated. We are medicated. Greeny, good day, sir.
As the new opening says, we are caffeinated, we are medicated, and throwing something new in there, throw a shout out if you like it. You can always hit us up in the Paddock USA at gmail.com, in the Paddock USA at gmail.com to join the show. Maybe we're looking for some folks that might be serious and jumping on maybe for a Quizmaster's cockpit, or definitely some off-season stuff that we're planning, because we're going to be coming to you every week, all year long, just about. Maybe we'll have a week off during the off-season, but that's about it. We're going to be bringing it hard. So you want to join the show, especially in the off-season when we're done, but we do still have 5 races to go. Finishing up, I guess, cracking open the first can of a 6-pack, sir. And we got everything that we asked for, because we have a 40-point spread between first and third with 5 races to go. Pack your bags. McLaren is definitely continuing to slip. Oscar Piastri not on podium again, although close. Almost took 4th at the end there. Looks like Lewis was having some struggles, but definitely made it over the line in 4th. We'll get to that later, but first and foremost, Max Verstappen, a hell of a weekend. Winning the sprint race, winning the regular race, picking up points, and what we thought was potentially impossible about a month ago is looking more and more possible every week. Please, give it to me.
But the Max is in full fire. They got the car working for exactly how he likes it. Different approach, I guess, with Mekis in there. The team looks completely different now. And Red Bull is in the fight for the championship, and second in the constructors. If you didn't notice, they are only 10 points behind Merck for second in the constructors as well.
Crazy.
So it is full press. I mean, I got stats up the wazoo here for you. Over the last 4 races, Max has taken 64 points out of Oscar's lead. Think about that. Out of a possible 133 points that you could get over the last 4 Grand Prix, Max has picked up 119. He's on it. McLaren definitely hears the Jaws music in the background, because Max the shark fin is above the water. He's in full attack mode. He smells the blood in the water, and he is on it. Would you count Max out at this point? I would probably not. If you're a betting man, probably not. I'm sure those odds have definitely swapped like massively, especially after today, only being 40 points behind, and he is just He's on fire. And also, you got to think of this too. There's 2 more sprint races to go and the next 5 races as well. So there's a lot of points up for grabs here. A lot of points are up for grabs.
Absolutely. Anything can happen. You got a three-way race. Anything can happen. And when you're this close, and historically, as we spoke about last season, just historically, but it can go back to 2024, McLaren struggled in all of these tracks, almost all of them. I think Lando finished second in Vegas, I believe, but they mightily struggled in all these same tracks, all these circuits, and we're seeing the same thing again. History is literally repeating itself. So, can McLaren, one of the McLaren drivers, because it's wide open for Lando Norris too. Let's talk about Lando Norris and how it's wide open for him to take the Drivers' Championship. We talk about Oscar and Max. Lando's right in it now. He's only, 26 points out, 24 points out, something like that. Not even, less? 16?
No, like 14?
14? I apologize, 14 points. I mean, that's right there.
Yeah.
Right there. So, Lando goes and wins in Mexico, and it's a whole new ballgame. No matter what Oscar does, if Lando wins Mexico, it is a whole new ballgame.
I wouldn't count out Max winning in Mexico because that definitely sets up for the way the Red Bull's been working very well in the low, like downforcey kind of track all year here, especially with the way that car's handled and the way Max is absolutely on fire right now. He's won 4 of the last 5 Grand Prix, I think, or something like that.
4 of the last 5.
Like would you really count Max out right now? He smells the blood in the water. He is on it. A few weeks, just that cutting in that many points just from Oscar's lead. I mean, I don't think Max really is looking at Lando that much right now either because Max is on full throttle. They got the car working. They found out the balance issue. Whatever that was, they figured it out and they are on a tear right now.
Well, when your week off for Max Verstappen is winning a GT3 race, I mean, the first time you ever enter one, against pretty serious drivers, you know the man is just absolutely on fire right now, and you got to give it up to his crew, his people around him that kept him on the straight and narrow during a time where he definitely looked like he was down and out. And believe it or not, Max Verstappen won last year.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're talking about a guy who was down and out here. Yeah, he was earlier in the season, but he's the reigning champ. So we forget that sometimes, with as well as McLaren's done over the last 20-something months here. Max Verstappen's still the reigning champion of Formula One, and he may as well win it again. And
4-time reigning champion?
And how would McLaren feel, with all this pressure now, with lawsuits, with everything? Is really like F1's just totally flipped on its head right now. With Christian Horner potentially going to Ferrari, with Mercedes up and down season as well. Expecting a lot more about George Russell today. We'll get to that in a little bit, especially coming off of that win. Kimi, we'll get to him later too. But yeah, it's the Max Verstappen show right now. And if you just fell asleep for the last 12 months or so and just woke up and turned on the TV and then look at the standings, you just think it's business as usual in Formula One.
Yeah, kind of. In the last number of races here, yeah, Max has just been completely dominant. Since the summer break, he's scored the most points than anybody on the grid. I think like George Russell's actually like second, I think, right now, since the summer breaks. But it is the Max Verstappen show. It's the Red Bull show. Is it the or Mecky's change in the way that they're going about things differently? Looking at it more from more engineering aspect, more to what the drivers like. Because the Red Bull, when they would show up at the track earlier in the season, they'd have to do a lot of adjustments. They kind of get the car kind of just right by the race. Now they're showing up on Friday and the thing is ready to roll. Like they are there right off the start. So that is a massive change that Lauren Mekies has definitely brought to Red Bull itself. A different philosophy than Christian Horner had there. So is that part of it? And Max is just, also the best damn driver on the planet. Let's be dead honest. He's the best driver on the planet right
You
now.
also, listen, as good as a driver as you possibly can be, you still need to work within a system. And I really feel that there was a time, for sure, I think everyone might feel, that there was a time that Christian Horner's system at Red Bull broke down. And if Christian Horner's system at Red Bull broke down, though the results you get are, 3 drivers in 4 races in your second car. Let's be real. You had 3 different drivers in that second Red Bull seat over the course of 4 GPs. That should have raised some red flags right at the beginning. So a lot of red flags that we just kind of ignored because of the success of Red Bull over the years and shouldn't have been ignoring them. And I think you just had a really good team, and I think Lauren Meeks just said it himself a couple weeks ago. This is not him. He's just reorganized the system that was already there. The system of success was there and in place. And sometimes when you tweak a system, think of a watch with 100 different gears. And if one of those gears breaks or falls off, your watch is going to be the wrong time. And that's, I think, where they were. And just one piece of the system, with all the departures, across the board, as we talk about all season long, you needed a new leader in there. And I don't know if there's direct correlation or not, but it seems like there is.
Sometimes, you just don't believe in a coincidence. Things are, happen because of changes that are made. Sometimes, as leadership gets stale and it's got to be a new voice that's to be in the locker room. Just like in other sports, sometimes that voice just gets stale and old, and bring a new voice in, and it re-kicks the tires and lights the fires. Little philosophy change, doing things a little bit more aggressively, maybe. W's been paying off for sure. Max, and as we know before, Max can take a car that is duff and just make it good too. So, because Max is just that goddamn good. He's just one of those. He's like like a Schumacher, like a Senna, like a Lewis. They can just do things with a car that other people can't, like a Sebastian Vettel. They can just do things at a certain time with that car that it could be duff, but you're gonna somehow pull a result. And they're not even there, and they are just absolutely back to the dominant ways. And if you notice, another thing I noticed too is a point you made, but going the reverse last, one of the last shows we did, when you're at the bottom and you go to the top and everybody, starts throwing rocks at you and stuff like that. But have you noticed that since Max has become the hunter and not the hunted, fans are cheering Max in that top step a little bit more than they used to, instead of the boos. The boos have now turned to cheers since Max is on the hunt. So how about that? That's a little change I've noticed too. Because Max would usually get booed. But notice there's a lot of cheering there for Max on that top step today. And that trophy was sick, by the way. Did you see that trophy with the long part? That was badass. That was a badass trophy.
Badass trophy. If you haven't seen it, go ahead, check that out. Listen, Cheese, we covered a lot here. We'll cover a lot more going forward, but let's get into the real crux of the week and thing you've been licking your chops about. Is I'm going to strap on my helmet. We're going to jump on the track ourselves. We got a lap around, 3 sectors, which means 3 questions. It is Quizmaster's Cockpit. We don't have a song for this segment yet, but I feel something brewing. But for now, I'm hearing that this is the most difficult ever that you've ever thrown at me. You're going to ask me all kinds of questions.
Wouldn't go that. The first 2 were kind of cupcake-ish, but number 3 is a little bit of a doozy.
All right, I'm interested in a doozy. We'll see if I can even get through the first 2 without failing. It is Quizmaster's Cockpit. You get all 3 right, you win. You only get 1 wrong, you're out the door, son. So, let's go.
Are you ready, sir?
Ready as I can be.
All right, here we go. Question number 1, sir. It's an easy one. When was the first F1 GP held at Coda?
Coda 2012?
That is correct, sir.
Bing.
That was an easy. That was an easy question. The second one was actually pretty easy too, I think, as well.
It was actually originally supposed to be here in West New York on the Jersey side, Weehawken area, right by where I am right now, where the studio is. Back then, so I remember that clearly. They literally passed out flyers in the neighborhoods just northeast of me, overlooking the Manhattan skyline in Jersey, saying we're doing this race, and we're closing for the streets for a week. Never did formulate. So very specifically remember that 2012.
Question number 2. Who won that first Grand Prix at Coda in 2012?
Tank for this one. It wasn't even that long ago. I want to say Lewis. It's probably going to be right. Could have been Vettel. I'm going to flip a coin and go with Lewis.
That is correct.
All right.
That was actually his final. I think that was his final win in a McLaren as well. That was before he made the move to Merc. Go, yeah, cue up that music.
That was a coin flip right there.
Let's let that suspense build a little bit there.
Let sweat trickle down my forehead as we get ready for this impossible question as you teased earlier.
Question number 3, sir. The layout at Coda was inspired by famous corners from which 3 European F1 circuits?
I don't know. Spa, Monza, and Hockenheim.
You got one of the 3.
All right.
You got one of the 3, but that is incorrect. The correct answers is Silverstone, of course, the beginning of the Maggots and Beckett section there in Sector 1.
Hockenheim.
Corners 12 through 15 is the stadium section at Hockenheim. And turns 16, 17, and 18, which is to resemble the turn 8 triple hander at Istanbul Park in Turkey.
No way I was getting that one. But great, stellar question, which reminds me to always do my homework.
I thought you'd like that question. That's a solid, different kind of question.
That was a solid, different question, for sure. So, of course,
But
so
that
close
makes
to
you-
winners.
So close, but no cigar. So that takes us to losers, sir. I'm throwing out Alpine again, 17th and 19th. I mean, team orders were out there too, and they were still fighting. They're a mess. A total mess there at Alpine. We've been pumping them up a lot this season, but Jar, he had a bad weekend. Especially crashing out in quality and just not good. So that was a bad weekend. So those would be my losers.
Yeah, I mean, I can go with a couple of guys here for losers as well. And you nailed it with Alpine. And Colapinto was even pissed off at Gasly today. Gasly had no pace today either. Colapinto finally let him pass him at the end there. I know which one I'm going for sure, but I don't know. I'm going to go with Esteban Ocon. He just keeps looking worse and worse and worse. Especially with Ali Behrman, which we'll get to in a moment, looking better and better. Really, he was supposed to come on this year and be the number one driver for this team, and he clearly is not the number one driver for this team. And once again, he just keeps taking steps backwards. His attitude is better than I thought it would be as far as behind the scenes, as far as what we've heard. But,
Performance has not been good.
6 places behind Ali, and Ali's been competitive, and Esteban has not. So he's back of the packer, where his teammates getting points a lot. So definitely got to give him the loser. And listen, Lance Stroll, come on. What a disaster. Again, another disastrous weekend all around. Talk about disastrous weekends. The guy can't put it together once again. Really should be fit, especially with Fernando Alonso scoring points.
I mean, he torpedoed what's-his-face in the sprint race.
Just right into him. Right into him. That didn't piss me off. For sure.
No, wasn't that right into Ocon
That was right
too?
into Ocon. That was right into Ocon.
Like
Who
locked it
again?
up and just took him right out.
Just
He even
took
had the hand up, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was my bad." Did Stroll because that was a disaster. That was a lunge from way back. That was
way back,
insane.
way back. And listen, it is what it is. But what an absolute disaster of a weekend for both Esteban
That's
Ocon
fair.
and for Lance Stroll. So which leads us into winners, sir. I'm sure you got a few of those.
Well, you got to give it to Ferrari, third and fourth. They definitely massively recovered because when they showed up on Friday and they were absolutely nowhere, nowhere. Um, the qualifying pace was not there either, but they showed something, especially a little aggressive there with the Leclerc starting on the softs and it really panned out, especially with the virtual safety car thrown in the mix there. But I mean, third and fourth, that's a lot of points. That closes them, I think, to what the heck was it? It's like 6 or 7 points, I think, now behind Mercedes for second in the constructors too.
Right there.
So that's a big jump. That's now a big battle for second now, especially the way Red Bull's been coming on. So that is big
Got
time
three-way back.
points, big time points for Ferrari to getting third and fourth today. So that was huge. Yuki Tsunoda turning things around too recently as well. Seventh place, solid. Solid, just struggling in quali a bit, but he's throwing out some race performances especially this weekend as well. Starting a lot further back in the sprint race and finishing up there near the. I think he might even got the last point in the sprint race yesterday as well. So
Yep. Well, unlike.
definitely,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish up.
definitely been on the move.
Yeah.
Needs it
Unlike
to keep
Max
his job.
Verstappen, very much unlike Max Verstappen, Yuki Tsunoda needs a good, well-tuned vehicle to be able to score points. Max is not.
Yeah.
Yuki absolutely does. But good for him though, taking advantage of what seems like a better race vehicle at this point. Listen, you got to give it up, not just to Sauber but to Nico Hulkenberg, and putting points up again on the board, just continuing, just picking up, showing up. In those many times this season where Sauber had no business in getting many points. So he's been definitely the heavy and the number one driver for Nico Hulkenberg. And of course, in ninth, Ollie Bearman, who almost completely crashed out there, towards, I guess, the back end of the race. I don't know who locked up who. Seemed like Yuki did a pretty good job, going through that turn there and locking him up, but who was breaking where. But, it doesn't really matter. He didn't really lose any places there. Ollie didn't, so finishes with a couple of points. Again, showing up as the number one driver this year for Haas for sure. And I really see a bright future ahead for Ollie Bearman, man. It really, he just shows up. Dude just shows up. And that's not an easy car to drive, especially against the competition. So those are my winners. Which leaves us, of course, sir, with one more thing. And that is our slab.
I think you have to give it to Carlos. I mean, I agree. That was pretty darn aggressive and wild there on Kimi.
Desperate.
Took desperate move, took himself out of the race. I mean, he almost did this. He tried did the same move kind of against Ollie earlier, but he was in a lot closer position when he made the lunge than he was against Kimi there. Took himself out, especially since he's been on the definitely better performances as of late too. So that's like a couple steps forward and a couple steps back after that performance. Definitely, I think he's definitely probably going to get a grid penalty too, going into Mexico next week too, for that since he took himself out. So, yeah, I think give Carlos get out the powder, slap goddamn self.
Yeah, up and down season for Carlos Sainz, but hey, couldn't get a seat at Ferrari. Ended up at Williams, and maybe Ferrari was right taking Lewis? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait for the end of the season and talk about that one. We're going to have to wait. One thing we're not going to have to wait for.
Oh, that's the best damn sound of the week right there, boys and girls. Time to take that fantasy ride to the fantasy island of Greentopia, where the beer flows like wine, the wine flows like beer, and oh yes, that cannabis grows as far as the eyes can see. Look at it out there. It's like Iowa corn, green and luscious. Take a little whiff. Oh, that air smells fantastic. Take a little walk to the top of the hill, casino to the top. Tickets in hand, it's just like Monaco, baby. You cashing in or are we checking in?
You had a slight cash in today. So look at you. You definitely came away positive. And so you're eating tonight. I came away a little bit negative. Let's go through some of the bets here. We both had double Red Bull in the top 10, but you took Yuki in the top 10. So you doubled up in that one. You're taking double Red Bull and Yuki. So that was where all your cash came from this week for sure. You missed off on the trifecta because I believe you had George Russell in the top 3. I had Russell finishing second, plus 225 on that. So definitely lost that one. You know, George had we didn't mention much of George Russell this program, but finished in 6th, I believe. So not the best day for him. So missed out on that one. And so you made 90 greenie bucks today on your 4 bets, winning 2. And I won one of my 4 bets, which was the Red Bull double top 10. So that gives me negative 20 greenie bucks on the day overall. So you get 90 plus, I get negative 20. And my large lead, which I had momentarily, has shrunk Verstappen-esque to 36 points. 36 greenie bucks as it being. So it is absolutely...
Fight is on, son.
The fight is on with 5 to go. You had a big lead early on. I came back and took a little bit of a lead, but you have roped me back in and chipping away. It might come down to the last race, man, between you and I.
Probably.
So it could.
I expect nothing less.
Just like the F1 season. All right, which brings us to the last segment as we finish up here and sweep up all of the good stuff of the week. And that is, of course, sir,
In
the news. In the news. What do we got?
First story here, as we've been discussing, George Russell's finally signed a new deal with Merck, a multi-year deal worth $40 million a season. It's getting some cash. It's Big George. About time.
Yeah,
Just
well
got
deserved.
done.
Well deserved. And if anyone missed the program last week, you want to check that out, you check it out on YouTube. You can check out the podcast as well if you missed the last episode, because it was all about the contract and why it was insane. Of course, the next day, 24 hours later, I don't even know if I was able to post the video pretty much like an hour after it happened, but I posted the video anyway. Which thank you everyone for watching and spending the time watching that. For those who did, if you didn't, check that out on YouTube or the podcast. But yeah, what the hell was going on? It should have been a 3-year deal. I understand why they did what they did. I still think George Russell kind of got gypped here because I think he's worth probably more than he got paid. But not too many places to go for George Russell. Like, what was his second option here?
I mean, there's the second Red Bull seat does not have a driver right now.
Does not?
Technically, there's not been an official second Red Bull driver announced. So just saying.
Yeah, I think Russell could have got a better deal, but he's going to take these 2 years, and if he can find some success here with Merck over the next couple of years, he might be out the door the second he has an opportunity. And I think Mercedes is putting themselves in a Lewis Hamilton situation again, where you're just going to have a driver playing out the string in some kind of lame duck situation. But you had to extend him. You couldn't put him in a lame duck situation. And the extension should have came weeks ago, if not months ago, in fairness. And, yeah. Who were you going to put in that number 1 Merc seat? What was their plan? Bring him an F2 driver and save cash? Because as great as Kimi Antonelli started the season, he's not finishing the season like he started.
No.
All right,
No?
what else you got?
Von Elkin, the head of Ferrari, has come out and said this week that he has full confidence in Fred Vasseur as the Christian Horner to Ferrari rumors continue to swirl. I mean, it was a good performance for Ferrari this weekend, but I don't know about you, but anytime I hear of a head of a company or an owner of a team or a board, just like in English football or something, if the board comes out and says they got full confidence in you, that's usually not a good thing, and you're pretty much on the verge of getting sacked. So that's just my thoughts on that.
It's whenever I hear that, I picture in my head Michael Corleone in The Godfather getting on a plane and going to Vegas because when that plane lands, bad things are going to happen there. Yeah, we talked about it last week. Fred Vasseur is just complacent, and
Yeah.
was this week a showing? Remember, Lewis Hamilton's one of the greatest drivers ever on this track. So I mean, he had a good showing last year too. Lewis did. So not super unusual. Leclerc ran a great race today. I know that Lando caught him towards the end there, but Leclerc ran a fantastic race today. So what is attributed here? This might be a false alarm because it seemed like Leclerc just ran a phenomenal race today.
Yeah.
Really did.
Yeah.
Held off Lando where maybe Lando should have overtaken him a lot earlier, and he really held him off as best as he possibly could. Saved that power. Save that battery power towards the end there, and I don't know if he used it properly, or maybe he should have, if he reconfigured his power unit, he might have beat out Lando. But irregardless, Lewis is great on the track. Leclerc might have ran one of the best races of his season, so we're going to have to really see what the next 5 races pan out, and they're huge for Fred Vasseur and Ferrari. And like you said earlier, the difference between finishing second in the drivers' championship, I'm sorry, in the constructors' championship, and fourth in the constructors' championship is a huge
a lot
chasm.
of money.
It's a
That's
huge
a lot
chasm.
of money.
So
that's a lot of scunhole.
I know where you want your boys to finish, but I don't know if fourth will be disastrous. But I don't know.
That'd be good.
I don't know.
I think definitely, if they finish fourth, he's definitely fired. There's no damn ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can't finish fourth. Absolutely freaking not. Especially going into this season, you're supposed to contend for the constructors and definitely probably contend for the driver's title as well. And you're nowhere to be found on either. And now you're fighting for second in the constructors. It's been a disaster season for Ferrari. It's been a disaster, plain and simple. And I've also heard a lot of rumors that Lewis has been trying to change things behind the scenes and to be a lot more productive. And the team has not been very, didn't want to do what he asked either.
Not very receptive, I think the word is you're
not
looking
very
for.
receptive. And I don't know if you haven't won a title in 18 years. Some guy has won 7 pretty darn recently. Maybe you want to listen to what that guy has to say. Because obviously what you've been doing for the last 18 years ain't freaking working. Just a thought.
I mean, wasn't that the reason they're paying Lewis all this money? To come in and turn the team around?
He's definitely coming there and trying to change a little bit of the culture.
I mean, was it strictly, if you, in your head, you go back 12 months ago when this announcement became fruition, or years ago almost now, when this announcement came, did you think this was strictly about driver skill and not just driver knowledge of the car as well? And it's like, it seems like they missed out on what Lewis was coming in for, because I would rather have spent my money on developing a young driver and bringing him in there if I'm not going to listen to a 7-time champion and their knowledge-based feedback. I would have just went with a cheaper
100%.
option. You brought in an expensive option, not strictly what I believe, but apparently Ferrari made if it was just strictly for his driving skills, that is not a great move, in my opinion, for Ferrari. No offense to Lewis. You don't bring a 40-year-old in for their skill set.
They were bringing him there to win the world title.
Not pay him that much.
They're bringing him there to win the world title, and they ain't listening to him, and the car's a disaster.
And that was the biggest mistake.
Disaster.
That was the biggest mistake. All right. What else you got, sir?
The final one I got for you, as we talked about, Apple TV will be the explicit home for F1 in the United States. But with your Apple subscription, you will get all the benefits that F1 TV has, as F1 TV will not be available in the States because of this deal. So you'll get all the in-car cams and all the extra goodies you get with F1 TV with your subscriptions. How about that? Also was announced that some races will just be put on Apple TV for free. All you got to do is have the app and you'll be able to watch the race as well. So some races will be available that way as well. You wouldn't even need a subscription for some F1 races as well. So how about that? Going full in.
This is a major push. Major push for Formula One to get into as many homes as possible. This is what I call an Uber push, right? Uber lost money for the first several years to get as wide as they could into the U.S. market, right? Formula One has the financial ability, and Apple's makes Formula One, the multi-billion-dollar company Formula One, look like an ice cream stand. So these are people with a lot of money, and they're looking for a 10, 20 plus year investment opportunity here and not a quick buck turnaround. So they have the ability to give stuff, but they're teasing you, okay? They're going to give it to you for free, and you're going to be like, well, for anyone who's not used F1 TV before, be able to lose all the in-cams and all the views, your mind's going to be blown. Okay? So if that comes with it, and then they're going to, it's called a rug pull. Okay? They're going to give it to you, and you're going to be, and it's like $12 a month, and then it's like $300, and they just jack up the price. Enjoy 2026. Enjoy it, because in 2027, U.S. fans, you are going to get rug pulled on this deal. So just be prepared, if you fall in love with it, that there's a very good chance that is not going to be the regular subscription price for Apple for the year for Formula One, because they're going to be eating it to try to get into as many U.S. homes as possible. But for your first experience with Formula One... Sorry, I think I lost you there.
That was my bad.
I think I lost you.
So I think it's part of the deal, to be honest, that F1 has with Apple, that they're going to have it included with their subscription. So unless their subscription fee is going to go through the roof, hopefully not. Hopefully,
no,
what you're
not.
saying is
There's no way
happen.
because 90% of people watching Apple TV in the U.S. are not putting it on for Formula One. Okay, let's be honest, and that 10% is a big stretch. Okay, they're trying to get the people who are already opening the app.
Put it into the hand of anybody who's got an iPhone as well. So that could be a big explosion of just eyeballs on Formula One. It could just bring even more eyeballs and more cash.
That's the
more cash, more cash, more cash.
That's the whole point.
Of course, that's the goal. So,
but it's going to be long term. This is a long term move and a heck of a move, a bold move by Apple. But
I think it's only for, I think it's like 4-year deal. I think it's 26 through 30, I think, or something.
Yeah, but if all goes well for Apple, who's going to outbid them? Who's going to outbid them?
I know Netflix was trying to get the
but I think
contract.
Apple can outbid them. They have way more buying power.
Amazon,
Apple, and Netflix. It's going to end up one of those places.
ESPN was still, trying to get in. I don't know exactly all the people that were vying for the F1 rights in the States.
Netflix wanted it bad.
Netflix wanted it bad. I know that as well, because they're trying to get into the live sports. But it's going to be on Apple TV, start 26 through 30, I believe. I think
there it is. Lock that up. And I do believe, like I said, if it goes well the first 2 years, they're going to sign a huge 7, 8, 10-year extension with Apple. And Apple has no problem putting that cash on the table. All right, sir. It is a quick turnaround as we pack the trucks up and head down.
I got one more. I got one more little tidbit for you as well. I'm sorry. We will be racing at COTA till 2034. The contract has been extended for the U.S. Grand Prix at COTA to 2034. So we'll be going to Austin for quite a while.
Well, yeah. How about that? Three U.S. races for a long time to come. All right. Like I said, quick turnaround as we pack the trucks up and head down to Mexico as we cross the border here from Austin. Let's talk about that. Where are we going next? as I mentioned.
Going to Mexico City, baby. Up there into thin air. See what happens.
Anything can happen. And Max, another track Max loves. And, it's just
Let's close that
so
gap a little bit
interesting.
more. Let's close that gap some more. We want that end of year drama. We want
But
that end of year drama.
even if Max finishes third and the two McLarens finish in front of him, we're still on. Like, we're still on to the end here. Like, it's way too close because any race, anything can happen. And again, Max wins or Lando wins. Whoever wins this next race, one of the three of them is going to change everything. The only way it gets a little bit more out of hand and a little smoother is if Oscar Piastri wins Mexico, which I have to go back to where he finished in... thought I had it written down here in some of these disastrous notes. Yes, I do. Mexico last year. Sorry. Oscar Piastri finished 8th in Mexico last year. So...
I mean, I don't think Oscar's been on a podium since what, like Zandvoort?
No. Yeah, you're right. And he only had one podium coming in third in Qatar last year. I believe in the fall. So only one podium for Oscar in the fall. So this is a repeat of last year, and nothing's really, if you follow what happened last year, nothing's massively surprising here. Lando did finish second last year in Mexico, but finished back-to-back 6th and 6th. Yeah, I believe in Brazil and Vegas. So it is not like, Lando Norris is this dominant stretch either.
Teams are good. Red Bull and McLaren are going in opposite directions right now. So especially with Max. So the fight is on. Hopefully the fight continues. And I mean, right now the way things are rolling, I'd probably put my money on Max.
All right. Well, we will see what happens as it gets thicker. We'll see you guys in 7 days. Say what you got to say, brother.
I will see you in 7 days in Mexico. And as always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.